Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Double Loan Podcast. Never done this intro because usually John's doing this. This is the first episode we've ever done without Johnny, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm kind of heartbroken. But his punk ass didn't want to take no vacation time. You know, what are you going to do? He also had like some kind of thing at work. It was like something about like a boss appreciation day. We were going to go in and like show how much he appreciated his boss. I think that's what it was.
Oh man!
Like he's like show that he's a company man. You know.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, you gotta be that way.
Yeah. But no, Johnny is not with us tonight.
Shout out, Johnny.
Shout out, JP Rainbow. Thanks for passing up on my buck and making a post about how small it was. Appreciate that.
Guys are tight, real tight.
Yeah, I think he did the right thing, and he saw it closer than I did, and in better daylight. And I think I'm gonna let him walk too, which I talked to him about before I left. I kind of had already decided to let that buck walk.
Would you still let him walk in Velvet?
Dude, get on your fucking mic.
Would you still let him walk in Velvet?
Mm-mm.
He's gonna look bigger in Velvet.
Yeah, I would have shot him. I should have shot him in Velvet, but it is what it is. Yeah. So we're without Johnny. We're here at the Maitland estate, the illustrious 5,000 acres that Ryan has here in Salisbury County or Worcester County, Maryland. Salisbury.
This is Wycombe.
Get fucked. You know what? I don't remember. I don't think I asked you, Ryan. You know.
See, Worcestershire.
Worcestershire?
Yeah, close enough.
Now you can move that thing, Ryan. You can. It ain't gonna fall. I mean, I don't think it will. It might. We got it hooked on with a fucking coaster.
Put your lips on it and try it.
Mm-hmm. Give it a little tug. It'll be all right.
I'm a little camera shy.
Yeah, it pulls towards you a little bit, but I think it's kind of like me. You know what I mean? You get me right around your head, and I'm coming in close, baby.
Coming in hot.
Man, this podcast is a whole different take when John's not here.
Now, dude, he kind of keeps it in the lines.
Yeah.
It's gonna be rough. We're all a little bit tired.
We need supervision.
Yeah, we don't have supervision. So we're down here in the pursuit of the majestic Sika Deer, which should be Sika elk, by the way. I don't like the fact that we call it a deer. Kind of pisses me off.
I think we should call them bulls and cows.
Yeah, it's a Sika. They call them Sika Deer, right? Then they refer to them as stags and hinds, almost like roe deer or red deer. But they should be a Sika elk and referred to as cows and bulls and calves.
Yeah.
Like, what do you call a Sika Deer fawn? Is it a calf?
They probably have some goofy term.
Yeah, like a stag and a hind.
Idea.
What do you call them?
I have no idea.
Me either. It's a strange thing.
I guess if you have Verizon, you ain't calling them on nothing.
Yeah.
AT&T gets way better signal down here. So Kevin and I decided to come down here a little early. We had planned originally to come down today, which is Sunday, October 9th, correct? And
Yes.
I think that's what it is. Sunday, October 9th. But we had a cold front roll in Saturday, and we had a pretty significant temp drop, right? So Kevin and I start texting back and forth. We're like,
No, you two who started texting back and forth, and I was just on the chain.
No, I said I was going to hunt Saturday for Sika regardless. And then all of a sudden I woke up at like 6 a.m. Seth's like, I think I might come down Saturday.
Yes. Before we go any further, I apologize about the mild echo. It's tough shit. It's what we got to work with, so enjoy.
The wind started the whole downward spiral. When it was, oh my God, it's going to be the perfect wind in this spot. That's when I knew.
And I started looking, and it's like, man.
That was it.
So we called an audible, and we shot down here Saturday. We left my house, what was it, around like 12:30?
12:30. Got
down to the unit that we wanted to hunt, not about 2 hours after that, and met up with Ryan, who actually, he also called an audible. He was going to go elsewhere, but decided to come join us. So we all met up at this unit. This is Kevin's first hunt in Blackwater and his first sit
ever
on public land. What is your first evaluation of public land bow hunting?
For down here, it's a shame that hell's that pretty. That's my take on it.
Yeah, because it is hell, but it's beautiful. I mean, like, you sit out there on the edge of that frag, man, and you talk about some killer sunsets and
The pictures and the lighting, everything is different from everything at home.
yeah,
Just taking a picture out across that is totally different.
it's a wild place. It's like, even though it's Maryland, it's still home. You know what I mean? Coming from home and hunting this deciduous, like, hardwood forest that we're used to, when you come down here and it's like conifers and herbaceous wetland, and it might as well be fucking Mars compared to where we hunt. It's completely different. It's nothing like it.
I'd agree.
So, what about public land? What was your impression of that? Like, we ran into people. How did you feel about that, Kevin?
Wasn't that bad. I mean, it was at dark. I mean, the place is so damn big. I mean, running up on somebody's... How often does that happen? Other than it's the rut time down here. I mean, how often would you see someone else out there as big as it is?
Yeah, honestly, not a whole lot. Even during the rut. Like, I know, like, you hear locals talk about
How packed it
and
gets.
Ryan's a local, so, I mean, but you hear them cry about, like, how packed it is, but I haven't really seen it. Like, motherfucker, come up to Cecil County.
Yeah.
You want to see pressured public land? Come to
Yeah.
Cecil County.
Be at the Royal Farms in Elkton.
Yeah.
An hour and a half before sunlight.
Is it that bad?
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
The Orange Army.
Yeah, dude. I mean, even bow season's bad. Like, when I say the Amish come down in a bus, I'm not joking. Like, they'll come with a bus load of people and do deer drives in bow season.
Yeah. I feel very, very fortunate to where we live in terms of public land, especially during bow. It doesn't get a huge pressure hit. I will say during turkey, I learned the hard way. I don't know if I talked about that on the pod, about what public land really can be like. But during bow season, it's really not that bad. And if you go to Blackwater, we had a bad experience last year on the first Saturday morning we hunted in the morning. But outside of that, the pressure's really, it's not that bad. Like, it's manageable. Like, we saw people, but at the same time, like, it didn't interfere with our hunting plans whatsoever. So, I mean, you can't really complain about that.
No.
What do? Got your hot spot picked out. Someone rolls in. Do you come up with a game plan with them?
Someone rolls in, like, you're in the parking lot and they roll in,
Yep.
and they say they want to come in the same spot as you.
Or like, where are you guys going? Do you hit them up or you just...
I'm personally, like, if I go in there, it depends on the property. Like, the property we were at today, or where we hunted yesterday, rather, I'm not even, it's no factor. I mean, you're talking about thousands of acres. The odds of them going to the same place as me are pretty slim. Now, certain properties, like one we scouted today, which actually wasn't at Blackwater, but now say we pulled up there and we had people there, I would ask them, like, hey, look, where are you guys going to head?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to waste my fucking time. If we're going to the same place, we're going to call an audible, we're going to change things up. And I think that's just how you have to handle it on public land. It's, you don't necessarily want to talk to these fucking people, you know what I mean? But you have to. You got to at least get squared away and figure out what you guys are doing. Because these properties are big. You can hunt them and you can be there with several other people and manage that. It's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? Just because somebody else is hunting the same properties.
Yeah.
So I think you can navigate that.
We ran into that issue last year at the unit we hunted, where we pulled in on that Saturday morning, and the first question we asked the other car that was there was, "Where you guys hunting?"
Right.
Just try to get an idea and just try to play off each other. Like, no one's trying to ruin anybody's hunt, but just trying to, like, you don't want to go to the same exact spot.
Yeah.
So as long as you communicate, I think that's the way to go. Is just if you see someone, communicate. And then if you're up in your stand and you see someone coming in, just, flash them or whistle at them and just hope that they're respectful.
Yeah, and if you say you're going to the spot that we were planning to hunt, like, say they're like, oh, okay, well, actually, I'm going to that same exact spot. And I'm like, okay. You let them walk down the trail.
Can you fight?
Let you walk down the trail a little bit, and I hit you over the back of the head with a shovel. I mean, you're not going to my spot anymore now, are you? So
I'm going there. Can you fight?
Can you fight? How about that, motherfucker? No, it is what it is. You know, you can work on it.
Everybody work together.
But now that's a great question though. Like, what do you do if a guy says to you, he is going exactly where you're going, and you guys got there at the same time? Like, how do you decide that?
You guys got there at the exact, like you're at the parking
You guys
lot at the
pull.
exact same
You guys
time?
pull in one behind the other. You get out and you're like, "Hey man, how you doing? You're gonna blah blah. Where are you headed?" Oh, he shows you a pin, and the pin on Onyx is exactly where you're going. How do you handle that?
I think you just have to have a discussion, and then figure out like, hey, do you have any backup options? If I have a backup option, then I'm gonna go to my backup option. If he has a like, you just gotta figure out like how much he knows the area. Like if he doesn't have any other spots, but I do, then
Does he have cauliflower
yeah.
Let me see them hands.
ear? Yeah, I think that's how you gotta do it. I think the odds of that are slim to none.
Is it he who lands in the parking lot first wins?
I would think that, yes.
Unless
Whoever's
you get
parked first.
Unless you get a douchebag who's like, oh, I don't care if you're hunting there, I'll hunt right next to you. You know what I mean? Like, then what?
We're going up the same tree. I
If
got all week,
If
baby.
he says that, then I'm gonna try to blow up his wind as much as possible.
Yeah.
I'm getting all the way up that tree.
Yeah, I might go to the same trees then.
Just climb
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? That's a power move.
right underneath.
He's climbed up in a climber. I'm 5 feet below him.
He goes to stop a deer. Run! That's a good way to get shot. Public land is it's a funny thing, man. But we were talking about this earlier about like having a lease down here and the opportunity to bait and how we'd feel about that, and like even if I had all that, I'd still hunt public land. I enjoy it. I like I'm never gonna have a lease that's thousands of acres like you have on Blackwater.
If you had the money, I'd have an airboat and a shitload of corn.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. But now, all right. So what about this, right? So that's possible. But what if they banned feeding corn in general?
Yep.
Then it would, DNR agents are.
I would if they did that. If they did that, I'd probably have some spots in public that were so good I wouldn't even need a.
You wouldn't need it.
No.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Kevin's sprinkling little bags of corn out there. Yeah. I mean, it's just. I don't think that'll ever happen to Maryland because it's too ingrained into like just our culture.
In Virginia, you can't bait on public or private land.
Yeah. See, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it would make the public land hunting a lot better if it was like that.
Like I said, we're in a very fortunate position. So, like Blackwater, or Fishing Bay, or Ellis Bay, or any of these
Old Bay,
EA Vaughn, any of these spots where people might come from out of state to hunt Sika Deer, they're a little bit different. But at the same time, a lot of like your whitetail public land hunting, there's a plethora of public land hunting opportunities that are pretty much like if you're a local, you're going to hunt it. If you're not local, you're not going to hunt it because we're so isolated. So you got Virginia that could come up, and then you've got Delaware that can come. But where you guys are in Cecil County, you got three different states within 25 minutes. You can have Jersey, Pennsylvania, or Delaware come onto that public land within 25 minutes, and all three of them don't have the bag limits and regulations that Maryland has.
Yeah, that's why we get hit so hard.
Where we're at, our public land does not get hit that hard just for that reason. Like Delaware might come over, but it's again when it's Delaware, it's lower Delaware.
And you get guys from PA down here too, but even so, anybody who's coming down here from PA, you're driving hours.
We'll get PA for Sika Deer. Mm-hmm. We'll get PA for Sika Deer and turkey. Mm-hmm. We will not get PA that much for whitetail.
Is there that many turkeys down here?
Apparently.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I through all of archery season last year, I had like 3 or 4 spots of public that I rotated through. I would pull in, and I'd be the only car there almost every time. There was only one hunt I was on that I actually saw another guy coming in after me.
Which is absolutely unheard of.
How many birds you see?
This
is for whitetail. Yeah. But I went one turkey hunt into a spot that all archery season there was nobody, and I pulled into that spot. I thought I was getting there early. And I pulled in, and there was a truck with a Pennsylvania license plate, a truck with a New Jersey license plate, a truck with a Delaware license plate, and a truck with a Virginia license plate. All there about an hour and a half before first light. And I thought, okay, this is what public land hunting's all about. And I'm sitting there, I got my decoy set up. I'm pinned up against a tree. It's about first light, and somebody walks right through my decoy. And I thought, oh, this ain't it.
Yeah. That's Cecil County deer hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are very fortunate where we're at.
Yeah, and to all you motherfuckers crying about out-of-towners coming down here and hunting your Sika deer, I gotta tell you,
fuck you.
It ain't that bad, dude.
Yeah.
It really ain't.
I feel like the Sika deer is a different beast, though. You do have a lot of out-of-staters that make huge visits to come down here, spend a week, hunt our Sika deer.
They're imported like we are.
Our out-of-state licenses are so cheap. I
agree with that. I think
there is an argument.
I think that our out-of-state Sika tags are way too cheap. I think our out-of-state whitetail tags are way too cheap, and we definitely get hit hard with it. And I'm all for that. I'm all for like raising the cost of out-of-state Sika tags. I'm all for that. And even whitetail, like out of state, you want to come over here and hunt, you should have to pay more, contribute more to help our public lands, to better our fucking hunting management properties and wildlife management areas. And I think that would be great. And it might even deter some people from coming. I'm just saying, from a pressure standpoint, from what I've seen, these Sika don't get pressured half as much as whitetail do in Cecil County from out-of-staters. And you get a lot of people crying online about how much pressure there is down here. It's like, get fucked, dude. You want to see pressure? Come to Cecil County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's my 2 cents on it. That's all I'm saying. But I do agree that the out-of-state licenses should be more, and it shouldn't be as easy, specifically for the Sika, because they are an exotic species and because they are only located here. Those tags should be more expensive. Like, you should have to pay extra for those tags to come here. I full-heartedly believe that, because I want that population to remain healthy, and I don't want them getting overhunted. And, you go out of state and you hunt a elk in Colorado, and it costs you $600 for an over-the-counter tag. But you can come here and shoot a Sika deer for $100. Yeah. To me, that's just, for an animal that is only here, what is that?
It's our water heater. Is it blowing it up?
Yeah. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. We're trying to make this work. John's not here. You know what I mean? I'm out of my element.
We need a free pass.
I don't know what to do. So yeah, out of state hunting stuff is pretty fucking wild. But all that aside, we came down and actually had a really, really good hunt Saturday evening. Kevin's first hunt in Sikaville. Oh, that's glorious. Hear that? That thing just shut the fuck off. So that's great. We're going to turn these mics back up a little bit. Yeah, buddy. Okay, so...
What happened on this glorious hunt?
So, on this glorious hunt, we stepped out for the first time. Kevin stepped foot into Blackwater National Wildlife Refuge.
And I fell.
And he fell.
Twice.
He got a little bit moist.
Fell right up to the back.
He got a little bit of that marsh water up his butt.
We hiked in. We came to these spots that Ryan and I had hunted before, and there were these we had seen a lot of action there last time. So you two set up there, and I went and carried on to go to another spot that I seen on online maps on OnX is what I use. And I wanted to explore it, so I went there, and you guys went where you went. So my hunt, I didn't hear a whole lot of bugles, honestly, till late. It was like
5:45, 5:50.
Like less than an hour till sundown, which I was kind of expecting to hear them start ripping off a little earlier, being that we are right in the rut now. But there was a lot of high wind, and I think that's a factor. And then it was also a full moon, so I don't know if that might make them move a little later as well. I'm not sure about that, but it's just my speculation at this point. So didn't hear a whole lot of bugles until late, but once they started bugling, they were going off pretty regularly. I had some moving around in the frag by me, but nothing I could get a shot on. I couldn't see anything other than a silhouette of the one that I did see. But I heard a really close bugle, about 150 yards. Really close. I heard his throaty, like,
the rasp of
at
it.
the end of the bugle, which means they're fucking close. And it's just, when they're that close, it's very loud. What about you guys? How was your evening?
So it started off pretty quiet. Like I was sitting there. I gotta get this freaking close.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a terrible podcaster. But it started off pretty quiet, and then I was sitting there. I was like, man, Kevin is going to have a terrible idea of what Sika Deer hunting is like, because the spot we found has a pretty nice walk-in, which is nothing like we found before. We were expecting a lot, and there was no bugles. There was high wind. But then all of a sudden the wind started dying down, and the marsh started becoming alive. It was probably about, what do you say, about an hour and a half before sunlight, or before sunset, before we started hearing some bugles. We heard one probably about a half hour later. Then they started sounding off pretty regularly. But I had a hind come out at about 40 yards, came right out of the frag, and it was actually between wind. So I was actually just happened to be looking in that specific spot. I saw a specific piece of frag break, and a hind came out and was just eating. And it came straight out, and it just kind of hung out there for God knows how long, and it looked like it was about to turn and maybe get a little bit closer, but then some birds came right actually about Kevin's direction. Kevin, you were about probably, 80 yards to my left?
I was surrounded by the white birds, whatever them things are. I didn't like them.
The fucking dodos.
Yeah, I didn't like them. They weren't my friends.
A hind came out and just kind of stood there and just kind of ate, and it was pretty cool watching her. She was there forever, and then I think the birds spooked her, and she headed back into the frag. So I didn't get a shot at her. I was hoping she'd come into my range, but it is what it is.
Kevin, you were pretty close to him, so you kind of had a similar experience, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So how was it?
We did the group text was going on, and he said he had one at 40 yards, so I looked over at him, and then I tried to look at the direction he was looking. I'm like, 5 minutes, I didn't see anything. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I see it now.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there watching. It's cool.
It wasn't moving.
No, it just kind of hung out there. I watched it for a little bit, and then you could watch it walk and then turn off and kind of hang out of my view.
Now, how did it feel seeing that Sika Deer first time out there?
That was a good time.
Yeah. Did you like the bugles? Did you hear any real close to you, or?
They seemed like they were way off.
Yeah.
Hopefully tomorrow
We'll hear some
hear
closer.
something a little bit closer.
Because it's a whole new thing when they're close.
That was my first sit, so it's definitely something totally different.
It felt like they were off, but just to be able to hear them with relative clarity is pretty awesome. Like sometimes you hear them and you're like, okay, that thing's like a mile off. We heard some that were well within 300 yards, which is always cool.
Hope
It
tomorrow
always makes you feel like you're in the game.
Tomorrow's gonna be better.
Yeah. That's the nice thing about hunting them is at least when you hear them, you know they're there.
Yeah.
As to a whitetail,
They
if you don't
really
see
make
them,
any noise, really.
yeah, you're like, well, that sucked. But of course, whitetail you see a whole lot more too. So it's just different things. I enjoy the fuck out of hunting them.
Yeah.
What was your impression of the kayak today, Kevin? Because we did some scouting today, not on Blackwater, but we took some kayaks out and did some scouting.
We did some yakking. I wasn't no arm pump. I wasn't gassed or anything. But that thing's just it's heavy. She's a beast.
Yeah, you've got a fucking ocean kayak. It's like one you can stand up on.
Yeah, it's nice. It's stable. It feels good. It's just heavier than hell.
Yeah,
it's like trying to row a short bus through the water. I got murdered on the way in.
What?
You guys were long gone. I was
On the way back to the truck?
Yeah, I was in the cheap seats.
I was trying to zip through there because I was tired of getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. Those fucking mosquitoes in there look like hummingbirds, dude.
They're
fucking
Boone and
monsters.
Crockett. I'm gonna shoot one and get it. See if my taxidermist will hook me up.
Those things are fucking ridiculous, man. You can't do nothing in there. If it's over 50 degrees in that motherfucker, you're getting eaten alive.
The first night wasn't bad
Because it was windy.
And then when the wind died down, you could actually watch them from about 15 yards coming at you. Like, is that a bat? I'm like, oh man, here we go.
Motherfuckers are
Yeah.
gangsters.
I'm like, oh, these guys are talking about mosquitoes. This shit ain't bad.
That
What
Saturday
is that?
night we were there. I didn't turn my thermostat on at all. With how much the wind was blowing.
The wind died. They
As
were
soon as
on.
the wind died, as soon as I was climbing out of my stand, they started biting me.
Yeah, and you're talking 40 degrees. It was in the 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, the mosquitoes there are
Gargantuan.
yeah, they're like nowhere else I've ever been. That's for damn sure. Yeah, so we got quite a few hunts planned for this week. We're gonna go kayaking in the morning. We're gonna get up 3:30 tomorrow, which means we ain't staying up too much later. But we're gonna go in bright and early, well, dark and early, and try to get after these things again. And our mission right now with the three of us is to try to get at least one on the ground before we're joined by Brandy, and then Brandy will be followed by John, who's coming down with some brand new equipment. He's actually going to have a fucking hang-on stand, which I'll let him tell that story, but he's had some issues with his climber, so he's going to try the hang-on down here, which it's a bold move, Cotton.
See how this strategy plays off for you.
It's a very bold move.
Yeah, because it's an unfamiliar piece of equipment in an unfamiliar place. It's a tall order, but
I got faith in
John
him.
can do it.
I
Yeah.
got faith in him.
He'll rise to the occasion. He knows what he's doing.
So we'll let him talk about it.
Yeah, we'll have him on here. We're gonna try to do at least one more podcast before we get out of here. And I'm gonna try to get these things uploaded. Maybe tomorrow I'll get some of these things on the live, on the air.
So Seth, just a question for you. Obviously, we were here in almost this exact same position a week later from today, but around this time last year, and we talked in I think the podcast was Sika Deer Hunting 101. Here we are after about, 12 more Sika Deer sits. What has changed in your eyes? You've got one down. What's the difference? Like, how do you view them differently? Do you view them any different strategically than whitetail? Like, because last year we had a small sampling. When we did that podcast, we'd only done 4 sits.
Well, how much time do you got?
How much time do you got, buddy?
A lot. So much has changed on my perspective of these things. One thing that that sticks out in my mind is I remember talking about these things and calling them they're like hogs, man. They just never stop moving. They're so different from whitetail. I think that we seen that initially in the rut in the unit that we were hunting because of the amount of pressure and because it was mid-rut. Every one we seen was just on the move, man. But that's just not the case. They move a lot like whitetail. They can I've watched them sit in one spot for 20 fucking minutes and eat frag. You know what I mean? So they're not necessarily just running around the woods like that. I think, and also initially we were less concerned about the wind. I think they are just as viable as wind detecting machines as whitetail are. I think that the warm water underneath them can play some things on thermals and to our benefit, but they absolutely have a far superior sense of smell than, say, you or I do, and it probably rivals that of a whitetail.
I think they do, and not to interrupt you, I think they do, but like you said, the thermals from the warm water, and I think also the marsh has such distinct smell, and it's so strong that I think that takes away from it a little bit too.
That may be as well. So, initially we came, and when we started hunting these things, we're trying to hunt them almost like whitetail. And it took a little bit of time, but you start to figure them out, and you can't hunt them like whitetail really at all. Like, and the only similarity between them and whitetail is that they have to eat to survive. They have to fuck when it's breeding season. Hell yeah, God, I'm deprived. It's been like 4 days. And that they're a highly tuned game animal. I mean, other than that, there's really nothing that's similar. You can't hunt them in the same way.
See, I see that argument all the time. Like, oh, it's just like, forget everything you know about whitetail. Like, totally different animal. But is it, like, outside of the terrain that it lives, is it that different than a whitetail? Like, you sit on edges, and you sit between the bedding and the food, depending on the morning or evening. Like, there's not a ton. Like, everyone says that, but there's not a ton of difference there besides one's in a marsh and one's in a woodland.
Yeah, that's a great point.
The terrain is
the big difference, but the terrain is absolutely alien to a whitetail's terrain. And what a whitetail would do in that terrain is not what a Sika Deer will do in that terrain. So yeah, I think the terrain is the main factor, is the habitat that they live in. They navigate it in a way that a whitetail would not. You get what I'm saying? Like, you can't put a whitetail in that habitat and hunt it like you would a Sika, because if you did, you're never going to kill a Sika Deer. You get what I'm saying? Other than, maybe you sit on a fucking white oak and you get lucky and you smoke a Sika coming in there, but a whitetail is not going to traverse the marsh in the same way as a Sika at all.
The easiest path.
Yeah, they're not gonna fuck around in that water. They're not out there in that frag. They're not doing that. So in that regard, you can't hunt them like a whitetail. You get what I'm saying? But I agree with what you're saying. Is it's mostly the terrain that makes the same difference. But they play the terrain totally different from whitetail. If you're looking at it from a terrain standpoint, it's still totally different from hunting a whitetail, because a whitetail's not going to do what they do. They do things that a whitetail would hate to do, actually. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They're not eating frag. I feel like the Sika are more like a goat than they are like a deer, in the fact that they eat everything. They will eat the frag. Whitetail's not eating frag. Whitetail's not eating half the things that these things are fucking eating.
I get what you're saying.
And but there are similarities in that it's still bed and feed. So that principle is still the same. But what a whitetail's bed and feed is and what a Sika's bed and feed is totally different. And where they like to spend their time is totally different. How they rut is totally different. The hinds will actually go to stags, and stags will kind of like be in their territory, as to like a whitetail buck. He'll roam looking for does. So that's totally different. The rut's longer.
The stags got it made.
Stags got it made. They sit there and bugle and get hinds to come to them, son. You know what I mean? It's a whole nother animal. And the more we learn about these things is it makes them fun to hunt, because it is so different. And I think that's what we enjoy so much about it. And the terrain, a lot of it too. It's just such a different thing to what we're used to. You know what I mean?
It's just a lot of different factors that make it cool. The terrain's different. The sounds make it different. I mean, like you said, it is very different than a normal whitetail habitat. So you step in there and you're like, okay, this is different.
Yeah.
Which it's very stimulating.
Stimulating is a good word.
Yeah.
I like to be stimulated.
It's definitely a 180 in the other direction.
Yes. I mean, the
basic concept of the animal is the same.
Did you pick up any? Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Did you pick up any differences in your one Sika hunt?
You might as well be hunting in a different country, really. I mean, if you look at how far do you have to go from one tree once you get from the edge of the tree line to the frag to another tree? Could be hundreds. Could be thousands of yards.
So I think that's what one of the biggest differences is. Like, we're in Maryland. You know, you're 2 hours outside of Sikaville. An hour give or take, depending on where we want to go. But the topography or the terrain, I guess I should say, at Blackwater is so unique to anywhere else in this country, on this planet almost, that it makes you feel like you're hunting in a different country, even though you're in Maryland. Mm-hmm. it is just so drastically different from the way the water is and the tides to the plant, the vegetations, to the mosquitoes, everything. It's drastically different, which creates a completely different hunting experience.
Oh, it's way different.
Yeah.
Like, that's a very unique place.
And particularly being that we're hunting on public land, and I got to think of it from that perspective of hunting a whitetail on public land and hunting a Sika on public land, because I hunt a lot of whitetail on private land. But if I compare it to hunting whitetail on public land back home, it becomes a little bit more similar in that way. And the fact that you have to, like, with these Sika, you're going to have to work a lot harder to get to them. You're going to have to walk further. And
Walk through hell.
To get to them. Yeah. And that's kind of similar to whitetail on public land at home. You're going to have to get out away from everyone else. And
go where everybody else doesn't want to go.
Yeah. But what's nice about this is there's such big properties, it's not that hard to get away from everybody else. You're talking about, you got fucking 40 square miles down here where you can hunt on public land. So it makes it actually a little bit easier to get away from people, I think, on public land here as it does to home. But the hike is further, and the hike is a hell of a lot harder. You're moving through just absolutely miserable fucking.
It didn't seem like anything Saturday night you didn't put your foot down on something that wasn't either mud or a dead tree.
Yeah.
That branches, logs.
And that was probably the easiest Sika hike we've ever had.
Yeah. Because that property is, we pretty much just walk through woods to get to some frag and hang out on the edge, and it's proved really well for us. But we also did some scouting today, and we were out in the frag, pure frag. And like Kevin, that was your first taste of hunting in the frag. And it's, you step out of your kayak and you're fucking,
Balls
you got
deep
8 inches of water, and you're like, oh, the mud's right there. And you step in that, and your foot goes a foot deep into the mud.
The one spot I lost the whole oar of the damn kayak in the mud.
Yeah.
So I'm not getting out here.
No, you just sunk up to your fucking eyeballs.
Oh, that's what I said. You need eye waders over there.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's a crazy place.
Stinks.
It stinks.
Hate that place. It stinks.
Yeah, it smells bad, like Ryan's car.
Yeah.
Ryan.
The old Mazda is not. I've seen better days.
That thing, man. It's a good thing you're married, because you ain't pulling no pussy out of that fucking thing. I'll tell you that much. That thing smells so bad.
It smells like Jeffrey Dahmer got an air fryer.
Your back seats are like soaked with marsh water, and it smells like the marsh in there, but in a like sealed in box.
Sweat box.
Yeah.
It does not smell great.
Yeah, it smells like a mama raccoon came in there and gave birth on the back seat.
She was waiting for like Dirty Mike and the other raccoons
to come along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any cleaning products,
that you can give us a referral to, we appreciate it. Ryan, you might want to just get rid of them seats, dude. Just fucking throw them out. Take the back seat out of the fucking
race car.
Yeah, make that thing a race car. Take the passenger seat out and the back seat, and just fucking lighten that load. Yeah.
Other than that, it's a sweet car.
It's a sweet ride. Is it worth it? Was it worth it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was worth it.
I can get that cleaned up.
Yeah. It'll buff out.
It'll buff out. It is. That's the thing. That's the underlying theme to all of this suffering and this beautiful hell, as Ryan coined it, and that is the best way to describe this place. Is all the suffering and all the mosquitoes and the fucking mud up to your neck and fucking just sweat and frag. It's all worth it.
Goddamn right.
It's fun, man. I
It's
love
a challenge,
being down here.
man.
It is. It's exciting. It's different. It's an adventure. It's cool as hell. Don't come down here.
Yeah.
I mean, we love this shit. You know what I mean? And if this is what you're into, this is for you.
Yeah. We got probably the hardest week of hunting ahead of us. I think right now we're excited. Come Wednesday, we're going to be absolutely miserable. And then I think in 2 weeks we're going to be looking back very fondly of this trip and looking forward to next October.
Yeah.
It's just cool. It's just really cool to have an opportunity like this right in our backyards where it's not, we don't have to spend a lot of money. It's already included with our regular hunting license. I can see this week, October, being something I do for the rest of my life. It's just trying to navigate and trying to make it as easy as possible. We got some sweet mosquito net hammocks.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be great for some naps. We're up at 3:30 in the morning. We're not going to bed till at the earliest 9:30, 10. So sleep's at a premium, but
yeah. So
awesome.
What Ryan's referring to is we went to fucking Walmart today, and we found these hammocks, and they were buy one get one at self checkout, and these fucking hammocks they come with carabiners and ropes and a mosquito net. So Ryan and I's plan is
to get in that thing together.
We bought two, but we really only need one. The second one is for if we rip the first one. But we're going to climb in that motherfucker, and we're going to take some naps.
In the middle of the day?
Midday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've heard a lot of guys online talk about, 10 to 2 is prime time.
When do you put a price on sleep?
Yeah. See, I mean, at a certain point, the sleep is just too important. When you're doing this for a week straight and you're getting 4 hours of sleep every night, it takes a toll on you, man. I gotta get like a midday nap.
We're gonna sleep like babies in these things.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Fat Boy's gonna be in the truck with the air conditioner running and get you some.
I'm gonna be snoring.
Oh, I'm sawing logs in that fucking hammock. I can't wait.
We're gonna park somewhere, and you guys are gonna go in
just a little bit into the woods and hang some hammocks.
Wherever we're gonna find 2 trees, hang some hammocks, and go to bed.
Yep. And if you hear some noises from our direction, ignore them.
And then we'll wake up, we'll go to the Wolford store, and then we'll go kill some stags.
Yeah, that's the plan. I love it. It's gonna happen. We're gonna get it done. And we've been on them. We came up one hunt. We've seen several of them. We've
getting dialed in.
Yeah, we're figuring this out. We're gonna get it done. Our hopes are high. Confidence is high. Morale is high.
Kill rate should be high.
Kill rate will be high.
Sleep will be low.
Sleep will be low. Yeah. Yeah. It's only 2 things I'm lacking. Two things I really enjoy.
Sleeping and beating cheese.
Won't see another beer in my hand unless the Sika Deer's on the ground.
Yeah. No, I'm not drinking.
Tomorrow night, bitches.
Well, if somebody shoots.
Somebody
gets one on the ground. We gotta celebrate.
Yeah, we're going to RAR. We're gonna tie one off.
Yeah. And
then we're gonna be hungover as fuck the next day, but we'll be happy.
It'll be a glorious hangover. All right, you guys got anything you want to touch on?
No.
Myself, other than now.
I'm with you.
Remind me to clean my sheets after Kevin leaves.
You don't own a black light, do you? It's gonna get ugly.
That fucking bed's gonna look like a goddamn glazed donut.
Look like you're opal mining.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back real soon. We'll keep you guys posted. Appreciate y'all following along with us, and we'll see you next time.